Gohmert, Rosenstein, and Mueller coup covering up their own misdeeds by Rick Wells for rickwells.us. Representative Gohmert details the desperate need for Rosenstein to either resign or be fired, that he is running the coup in part to cover up his own criminal misdeeds. The House Intelligence Committee sent a subpoena for documents to the Department of Justice, which was, in their typical not subject to the same laws they enforce against everyone else manner, completely ignored. The deadline for production was Thursday. Representative Louie Gohmert describes the obstruction as another reason Rosenstein ought to step down. He is now involved in helping cover up his and Mueller's and Weissman's misdeeds when they investigated Russia and uranium before, and are engaging so improperly in an investigation here. Gohmert says it needs to be understood that when the warrant was obtained from the FISA court to go after Carter Page, one of the requirements of the law is that they have to knowingly certify that they're getting information regarding to foreign intelligence and that they could not get this any other way. With them being on nothing but an illegal witch hunt targeting Trump, Gohmert labeled them as nothing but sadistic voyeurs that ought to be punished the same way, he says. Let's take a listen instead of me repeating what he said there.
Well, Fox News confirming the House Intelligence Committee sent a subpoena to the Justice Department seeking records related to a new line of inquiry on the FBI Trump investigation. The Justice Department did not comply with a Thursday deadline. That was yesterday. So now what next? Republicans also, by the way, demanding the FBI declassify a report on former FBI Director James Comey's briefing about Michael Flynn. Let's bring in Republican Congressman Louie Gohmert, a member of the House Judiciary Committee. I don't think it's any surprise that they didn't obviously meet the deadline for yesterday. I mean, you're not surprised, are you?
Well, I am extremely disappointed.
Disappointed, yes.
Yeah, but it's another reason Rosenstein ought to step down. He is now involved in helping cover up his and Mueller's and Weissman's misdeeds when they investigated Russia and uranium before, and are engaging so improperly in an investigation here. You know, it needs to be understood that when the warrant was obtained from the FISA court to go after Carter Page, one of the requirements of the law is that they have to knowingly certify that they're getting information regarding to foreign intelligence and that they could not get this any other way. And if they're violating the law intentionally like that, knowing they're on a witch hunt after Trump, then they're not doing anything legally. They're nothing but sadistic voyeurs that ought to be punished the same way. And that's why you're seeing so many redactions from what the Intelligence Committee is asking for, is subpoenaing now. They don't want to show themselves to be violating the law. And as Devin has said, just because something will embarrass the Justice Department or Mueller or Rosenstein is no reason to keep it redacted. And so they're covering for themselves. Rosenstein has either got to resign or be fired. It is that desperate right now. It is out of control.
I want to move on to Rudy Giuliani and the subject of attorney-client privilege. Giuliani says when it comes to Michael Cohen and the president that there is none when it comes to those two, saying that the Department of Justice seems to want to trample all over the Constitution of the United States. Those are his words. He believes Jeff Sessions should step in the Michael Cohen case. Would the Attorney General ever intervene in this kind of mess? And do you believe that Jeff Sessions would ever take that step?
Well, normally supervisors in the FBI hesitate to step in and make subordinates look bad. But for heaven's sake, here we're talking about the ongoing of the greatest experiment in self-government in history. And it is that critical, where you have such a breach of the balance of powers between the three branches, and just an ongoing overrunning of the law. I mean, it's just outrageous what's going on. So it is, I think he may be right. And I know there are a lot of people saying, oh, that the information now is that Trump lied. If Trump says, I didn't know that he made a payment, that sounds to me like he's saying he didn't know he made the payment when the payment was made, but obviously he knew about it when he was asked about it, because he learned about it later. So there's nothing inconsistent with him finding out later and repaying the attorney.
Right.
And by the way, this is very different from a prior prosecution. You didn't have somebody making a gift on behalf of the president.
Okay.
This is the president. He paid for it himself.
Let me just stop you for a second. Okay, so here, there's a myriad of problems here, but the raid on Cohen's office and home were done in part to seek evidence of Cohen's role in paying for Stormy Daniels' silence prior to the election. That payment was made on October 28th, as it would, of course, violate campaign finance laws if campaign money were used. Giuliani this week, as you know, contradicted President Trump, who on board Air Force One on April 6th explained that he had no knowledge of Cohen's payment. And then Giuliani now says that he, in fact, not only did he know about his attorney paying hush money, but that he paid the hush money back. The question is, when was that payment made? And then when you bring Giuliani into the fold, does Giuliani expect that that explanation will convince Sessions to get the DOJ to lay off Cohen?
Well, you got a number of questions there, but first of all, like I was saying, Julie,
I know, I don't have enough time to handle them all.
There's no, that's not inconsistent. If the president was saying, I didn't know that he made the payment when he made the payment, that's not inconsistent with finding that him learning the payment was made and he did then thereafter pay it back. And it's not a violation of campaign finance laws when somebody does something to support a business, which Cohen was involved in, and then paying it back. Heck, that's absolutely not a violation of campaign finance reform laws. And to violate the attorney-client relationship, Giuliani's right. They are trampling all over the Constitution, and this required McMaster approving what went on. And of course, we know McMaster, thank God he's been fired, but he is all in with Mueller and Rosenstein and those that want to see Trump run out of office. They've all been engaged in a coup of form.
All right, before I let you go, I want to get to your op-ed piece, first of all. I mean, a couple media bombshells this week. One fake news, the other real. NBC falsely running with a story Michael Cohen's phones were being wiretapped. That turned out to be glaringly false. Some real news ignited a firestorm.
Well, we don't know that for sure.
Okay, well,
we don't know that for sure.
Okay, so we're going to wait and see, but then they retracted the story and said it was not true. I'm not sure why any news organization would not go and make sure to get all their facts straight before reporting it, but that's not the point. The op-ed piece that you write about Mueller wasting millions of dollars, let's throw it up on the screen, millions of tax dollars and endless hours of Trump's time. It's time for the special counsel to answer some questions. Let's start with a few on the present runaway railroading of the president, then a look back to prior instances of the same sordid behavior by Mueller. Care to expand?
Well, yeah, Mueller has a history of not being a man of integrity, but of using and abusing the law to go after people he didn't like. He finds somebody he doesn't like, and then he goes about trying to find a crime. That is completely anathema to the American jurisprudence. We don't do that. You have to have probable cause that a crime was committed, and if well, maybe Cohen paid off the girl, and maybe he didn't, then that's not probable cause, and they lied and they manipulated.
Up against
they need to be held to account.
I'm sorry, I hate to cut you off.
I'm sorry.
The most important part,
Louie Gohmert, thank you very much.
That's where we lose it. The most important part, describing Mueller and who Mueller is. And I like Gohmert because he tells it like it is. He doesn't say that Mueller is an honorable guy. he says it straight up that if he doesn't like you, he's going after you and find anything that he can find against you. Absolutely. I like Gohmert so much. Absolutely. This guy is the one of the great guys, I would say. Let me know in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.